classic rivalry in StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a best of 5 series that is the finals of this week's weekly. It's time for a Terran versus Protoss, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on Oceanborn. Spawning right here in the top left-hand corner. Joined, of course, by the little polar bear on the main command center. We have none other than the world champion of StarCraft 2, and he goes by the name of Clem. His opponent, down in the bottom right, the highest ranked Protoss player on Aligulek, and therefore the world. Although there's a lot of StarCraft fans out there that will say, no, the very best Protoss in the world is Hero. We're of course looking at none other than MaxPax's main Nexus. At least when you look at the StarCraft 2 stats, this man is the highest ranked Protoss player on the planet, and honestly for good reason. When MaxPax is playing well, he is playing phenomenally. And I heard that, well, this week he's feeling particularly good. He seems to be performing well across the board right now in basically any tournament, and there's this like upwards trajectory, you know? Like I feel like I've seen a lot of games where Hero is maybe F2ing a little bit too much and it's just a little bit sloppy. MaxPax kind of plays that Serral-esque style where he treats the game like a spreadsheet and he just tries to perfect the spreadsheet by grinding game after game after game. There's very little of that chaos, right? So if you look at like Dark versus Hero, they will play very chaotically. And while they do play, you know, a little bit spreadsheety, spreadsheety. There you go. That's what I'm. That's what I meant to say. Generally speaking, they mess it like they mix it up at some point, right? So at some point there's something that happens and they will suddenly, yeah, just create lots and lots of chaos. Whereas, well, somebody like MaxPax and also certainly Clem, they will try to maneuver the game back into a more conventional direction, and it's a different play style. I would imagine that like the style that Clem, that Serral, that MaxPax go for, I would imagine that that is ultimately the quote-unquote best way to play, because it means that you've dealt with every single situation a million times before, and therefore you can, well, take the perfect path moving forward in any of those situations. But there's no denying that the Koreans have been very successful in all those years of StarCraft 2. It is interesting, though, how most of the chaotic games are taking place on the Korean server, and most of the more macro-focused games seem to be outside of Korea, especially in Europe. Nice grenade right over here by Clem, who really wants to get the kill on this Zealot if he can. That's why the Zealot is hiding in the tall grass, making it so that the Reaper has to get close. Adept, of course, is going to be on the back of this. We only, yeah, I was going to say we only had a single Adept, but no, there is a second one available too. Just became available, and it looks like we have a superhero death right here for that Reaper. Straight through the center of Oceanborn. It will be floating towards the surface. Now, it's important to note that this particular series is played on the current live version of the game. So this is not the multiplayer balance patch. That means we still have shield battery overcharged and all the rest of it. You can still produce a, for example, a Cyclone here if you want to. Out of a factory without a tech lab. And this bunker is coming in really nicely, though. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, MaxPax is going into, okay, a robo facility right now after Blink. We'll have to keep an eye out on how many gateways he decides to produce here. Nice aggression, though, by Max. Getting a solid bit of damage done. While I have criticized MaxPax a little bit sometimes for being a bit too predictable, he's been doing a lot more of this as of late. Zealot into a bunch of Adepts is by no means very uncommon, but there's a lot of different ways to start off a game, right? And he's been making small deviations here and there. Honestly, that's really my own, my only criticism of MaxPax these days. He doesn't really have any really conceivable weakness, but there is sometimes a bit of predictability, I guess. Then again, he plays Protoss. So, you know, there's only so much you can do. Maybe in the upcoming balance patch, you will have a little bit more variety. But in this matchup, yeah, Blink openers in the current StarCraft patch are far and away the best. Nice micro here by Clem, of course, who's now sending 2 Widow Mines together with 4 Marines. He knows that this is not going to be a Stargate-based opener, so he decides to also follow this up with a Raven. Okay, one little Widow Mine here being annoying. He wants to get the... Ooh, he will get the medevac. Nicely done right there by Max. Probe decides to sacrifice itself for ire. He was thinking about maybe waiting until the observer was available and to just kill it all in one go, but ultimately sacrificing a probe there is much quicker. Where's that Raven? Didn't we have a Raven? Ah, there it is. Just finishing up right now. And it looks like we are going to be going into the good old Stimpack upgrade here, eventually. Okay, so we're currently only at 3 gateways here for MaxPax. By no means a super committed play. This is the middle of the road approach, right? So sometimes we see Protoss players trying to be greedy. They take that third Nexus off of 2 gateways. And recently, for example, in those Goblin games, he was going 4 gate every single time. So very similar builds. This is the 3 gateway approach, which is a little bit more middle of the road. 1 Stalker goes down. Getting quite a few Marines, though, on the back of this. How did he only lose 1 Stalker there? Huh. Could have sworn that this Stalker was dead. Anyways, Raven has now made its way towards the other side. Clem trying desperately to defend at home, not really accomplishing it. And then at the same time, he's also not really dealing a lot of damage on the other side. Yeah, mostly losing some troops. Well, this is by no means a bad situation here for Terran. It is one where you have to play very defensively now. Your next follow-up is going to be Combat Shields, Stimpack, together with the +1 infantry attacks. But until those upgrades are done, you're kind of camping. Yeah, you kind of have to sit here, because if you move out, there's a very good chance that you're going to get overwhelmed by Stalkers. Now, in this particular instance, there's only 8 Stalkers, so there's really not that much. Instead, MaxPax is using this as an opportunity to go into the ranged upgrade for Colossus. We're going +1 in the Forge. He's following up the Blink upgrade as well with Charge. A lot of gateways. As long as he's got all of those structures and all of those upgrades done by the time that Terran comes across the map, life is going to be okay. Now, what Clem is trying to do is set up a bit of a surround. MaxPax doesn't see this until right now. Ooh. Clem inching a little bit too close. MaxPax was out of there in about a quarter of a second. Yeah, that is the one way in which you can easily come back, right? If you can catch, like, what is this, like 6 Stalkers? That makes the follow-up defense for Protoss pretty much impossible. MaxPax trying to keep tabs right now on where that Terran army is located. Okay. 1 Stalker for 1 Marauder. 2 Colossi are already out, though. No way, dude. Yeah, he's gonna try and see if he can set up shop over here at the bottom of the ramp. Aggressive push right here by Clem, and he does actually catch 1 of the Colossi. Good pickup control as well in that medevac. Keeps the siege tank alive. And what was looking like a glorious fight for MaxPax may have just fallen flat on its face. Can't talk today. Can't talk today. Another Colossus falls. We don't mind. Nice hit. Yeah, I think ultimately the reinforcements here for Protoss will just barely be enough. But that was a lot of losses. Yeah, that was a lot of losses. Okay. And that stabilizes his game a ton. Clem suddenly finding himself with a significant supply advantage. He's just now landed that 3rd base as well. 4th Nexus is finishing up in the meantime. We had a Widowmine drop before any probes arrived. Bit of a cheeky play right there by Clem, hoping maybe he can catch the entire transfer. That would be nice. Shield battery coming up. I think this 4th rather is in a world of trouble. He needs to continue fighting this though, because he can't really give up on this expansion. If he does, life's going to be really tricky. In the meantime, we have a Raven trying its very best, and a couple of Zealots over at the 3rd base of the Terran player. The dance continues though, and it looks like MaxPax is the better dancer. At least for now. Are we Protoss or are we Dancer? It's what MaxPax listens to on repeat. Huge Coldplay fan. I think it's Coldplay. I don't even know. Honestly, we know nothing about MaxPax. We know that MaxPax lives in Denmark and that he's really good at Protoss. That's about the entire extent of things we know about MaxPax. And apparently he's a runner. Apparently he runs. Oh. Thinking about Protoss build orders while he runs, I guess. Alrighty. Forge with +2. 2nd Forge coming up. Armory here on the production tab together with an engineering bay. So Clem can go into the +2 infantry attacks. Now that the third base, though, has been secured, it means that the Ghost can come up. Again, this is the live version of the game, so Ghosts are still to supply here. A couple of Stalkers getting sacrificed. Okay. So this was one of those situations, though, where MaxPax was grabbing the reins, right? Like, this game was firmly in his hands, but then Clem did some of that Clem magic, and he found himself in an opportunity that is actually playable. Sniped both of those Colossus, and suddenly the game looked a whole lot better. And that's evened everything up. Now it becomes a very interesting match, though. Very difficult one to call. The fact that MaxPax is out here shows that he's feeling confident. And you know what? He may be onto something. He knows that the Viking count is low. And without enough Vikings, if there's enough of a buffer in front of the Colossi can deal a ton of damage. Because of that, second starport coming up right now for Clem. Couple of Zealots here up north, Planetary Fortress. 2 armor or 3 armor, doesn't matter against 3 Zealots. But it isn't done yet. It's a really quick +3, by the way, here for Max. Yeah, we don't even have the +2 upgrade started up yet in the second NG bay. Clem really needs to get on top of that. He started up Barracks 6, 7, and 8. There's the +2. Okay. MaxPax is very aggressive here with his army positioning. Generally speaking, Terrans will play against a more passive Protoss. The type of Protoss that chills near the bases and hangs out with the batteries and all that. Right? The introvert Protosses. That's the type of Protoss Terran usually plays against. But MaxPax, the biggest extrovert we know, he is out in the middle of the map to say hello to that Terran army. I'm just kidding. I'm pretty sure every single StarCraft programmer is introverted. Can you be a pro gamer and not be at least a little introvert? Nah. Maybe not, but probably. There's a chance. There's a chance. But the odds aren't great. Dark Templar coming on the back of this. And we have added on additional barracks rather with tech labs. So the production here should go through the roof for Clem. He's got a good economy and he's building up additional command centers right now. So there's command center number 5. Relatively late, but they're constantly fighting, man. He's been forced to rebuild his army. And I love how these two are just always in each other's face like this. There's never been a moment where Clem can really build up his Viking count, even though he's been pumping them out of 2 starports for some time. We've only got 7 Vikings at this point. Now, he wanted to go up to 8. He's gonna get it eventually. I feel like that +3 has been on the production tab for about 3 minutes now, but it's gonna finish up soon. Shadow Strike coming up. That is the Dark Templar Blink ability. Another Nexus here on the right side of the map. Command Center here should finish up eventually too. We should see the +3 attacks for the bio units here. There it is. Thank you for making me sound smart, Clem. Appreciate that. Base over here got spotted. Same for the Nexus right over here. And that's never a good spot where you're thinking, okay, this could be the moment where they have a 5th base and they just started up the 6th. That means that this game is not quite progressing in the way that Clem expected it to, or maybe he was just checking as far as the amount of static defense goes. Not a whole lot, but the entire Protoss army is over here. One of the Dark Templar coming in. Nice split off right here by Clem, who loaded up a couple medevacs and found himself with a Nexus kill. Very good stuff over here. Now, this is a great fight for MaxPax. He finds about half of that Terran army. Vikings sleeping on the job. So even though technically this Terran army had the counter, right? Like, if he loses half of it and then some more, suddenly this game becomes very tricky. One of the Dark Templar here pretending to be a Zealot. That also doesn't help. In the meantime, the Marines and the Marauders, as well as a Ghost, they're trying to see if they can break open the natural expansion. It's not going to happen. Clem also is forced to lift off that 5th base and take it somewhere else. Attempt 2.0 on the 6th. Well, it's not going to happen if we have an entire Terran army located in that spot, but Clem decides to get on out of there because he knows that Protoss is going to be close. +3. Going to be fired up here soon. 3-3. Also fired up on the other side of the map. MaxPax has already got the +3 attacks done. This could be a situation where you transition towards Liberators. As Protoss, you can go into Tempest as well. But these two, when they play against each other, they rarely have the money to go ahead and do so. Usually they're fighting so much that they just keep fighting. And rather than making a proper late-game army, they just keep going. It's the never-ending mid-game that these two like to go for. Yeah, there's another Robo facility. So I don't think we're going to be seeing a Tempest switch. Instead, we're just going for a load of Dark Templar. Not all heroes wear capes, but those guys do. And whilst Terran is looking at these main fights, right, there's always a chance that the Dark Templars sneak in and take down a planetary fortress. It doesn't take them much time. Terran army moving on over towards the left. The Ghost, does not quite get the kill there. Fun fact, Ghost can indeed uncloak a Dark Templar. What can't the Ghost do, huh? Protoss army here waiting, though. These Dark Templar, they're waiting for their cue. And with this Terran army right now chasing, he doesn't know if there's any disruptors. He decides to look away. Can they get the kill on the planetary fortress? Clem not reacting to this just yet. 3 swipes and the planetary is gone. In the meantime, MaxPax just dancing in the middle of the map. Dark Templar blinks away right over here. I'm telling you guys, man, MaxPax is the real deal. So freaking good. Perfect distraction. Playing Clem like a fiddle. Yeah, Clem is toast. I haven't seen Clem get outplayed in the late game in a long time. Clem doesn't really lose to any Protoss. Except MaxPax. It happens. And it's not in a cheesy way. Well, this is not over yet, though. Clem has now found his opportunity over here on this base. He's going to be able to shut down that 5th. In the meantime, though, he's also losing his own 5th after already losing the 12 o'clock base, of course. In a straight-up engagement, I'm not exactly sure who wins. It should be Protoss, but Marines and Marauders have a tendency to power up. Dark Templar still around, by the way. Okay. MaxPax did re-secure that base over here on the right, and it's happily mining. So notice how suddenly the pace of the game seems a bit slower. This is by design here for MaxPax. He doesn't really need to fight these small skirmishes. Oh, he's fishing. He's fishing for a strike. There's not a lot of orbitals remaining anymore, so that means that this fight could be do or die. In the meantime, we have all of the Dark Templar on the other side of the map as well. Reinforcing Protoss units are a necessity here, though, because Clem is pulling a rabbit out of a hat as far as the micro goes. Medevacs are mostly out of energy. Dark Templar have forced the liftoff on that base. Another Zealot here on the left side of the map, trying to take down that expansion. Here's a Nova that finally connects, and with that, Clem is forced to tap out. Next up, we find ourselves on Alcyone. Calm and collected. Just don't make mistakes. Yeah, if you're struggling in a game of StarCraft 2, have you considered not making mistakes? It's a great play. Highly recommended. Probe comes in. Tries to be a little bit annoying here. But of course, this is something that Clem has done many, many times. Ooh, careful. We already found out that MaxPax is a phenomenal dancer. This is that moment where we played a little I'm gonna build a command center minigame. StarCraft 2 is all about minigames. The better the players, the more minigames. There's the Marine building minigame. There's the teching up minigame. There's the Oracle micro minigame. And one of the pro gaming minigames that they like to go for is microing their early game workers. You see this mimicked a lot in the viewer games as well, where you have somebody in like Gold League trying to do this, and in the meantime they're racking up 500 minerals. Kind of defeats the whole advantage, right, that you're trying to create. But they're little skill checks. If you mess up, well, could just be game over. Just seeing if there's anything hiding behind the mineral line. He's been tricked before. Clem has, he's built like double barracks and all that, right? He's done all kinds of shenanigans. This is a man who's died to Marauder rushes one too many times. Twilight Council once more. I would imagine we're going to see Twilight Council every single game in this series. Stargate is good. but just dangerous. It's better now with the new patch. But this is the old patch, or the current patch. Problem is, if you go into a Stargate opener and you go Phoenixes, which is your best alternative option when you're not going Blink, which is what MaxPax goes for. If you're going up against a Marine Cyclone push, a lot of different attacks actually from Terran, you can just be in a world of trouble. But Cyclones seem to be the main culprit, and even though that's not the case in this particular game, it's one of those things that can just flat out kill it, right? So if you're going up... So Adepts can't really fight Cyclones. So you get free kills on the Adepts, or at the very least the Adepts are countered pretty easily. And then the Stargate units also kind of suck against Cyclones. You can still make Cyclones in a new patch, but it's less of a build or a loss. Okay. So, we're gonna play the little Widow Mine Drop minigame. It's a very popular game for Terran players. Really? That's a little sloppy. Clem not quite paying attention. That means he's gonna take a bit of damage. MaxPax immediately hunts down the low HP worker from earlier. Sorry about you. Actually gets 3 kills. That's really nice. 3 kills is not bad. Okay. Hellion in the meantime. Together with that Reaper. Both of them died. Now, here's the Widow Mine Drop. You gotta be really careful, though. This is a triple gate approach once more. Third Nexus starts up. Clem cannot really afford losing this medevac over here. Like, the more you lose, the more likely it is that the Stalker counter is gonna... Oh, that's dead. Yeah, the more likely it is that the Stalker counterattack is gonna kill you. So, now that the Widow Mines are taken care of, Clem trying to buy as much time as possible. MaxPax can focus all of his efforts on microing on the other side of the map. And this man is a micro god when it comes to controlling, well, the Prism and the Stalkers. Let's see. There's only 3 gates, though. The most committed version of this build is 4 gates. But MaxPax instead going for a nice and quick third Nexus. Terran at this point, going into additional barracks instead. No Stimpack. No siege tanks. Yeah, you can just micro for days, man. There's room inside of the Prism for 4 Stalkers. That's really the bottleneck. I mean, there's 1 siege tank over here, but it's nothing to write home about. I think with good control, MaxPax might just be able to overwhelm this. Let's see. Using the Blink upgrade as like a last resort here. Prioritizing the Prism pickup. So far, he hasn't lost a Stalker to anything yet. Yeah, guys, just play better, okay? Just don't make mistakes. Now, in the meantime, there is a Cloak Banshee going to town. That is a little bit annoying, I'm sure. Second Cloak Banshee over here at the front as well. And maybe that Cloak Banshee can justify a lot of this. 3 Stalkers in total. Yeah. The probes are dying. And this is Clem's saving grace. Clem rarely relies on those sorts of plays, but at least he gets the job done here. Evens up the worker count because of it. Stimpack, though, very late and very exposed. Siege tank just moved down to the low ground. A little bit unlucky there for Clem. Reactor is going to be after that tech lab that was researching Stim. Okay. Any attack from Terran pivots on the Stimpack upgrade, so you need that Stimpack upgrade. It's not really an option. He decides to restart it again, equally once more, very exposed. Oh, big aggressive blink forward. There is still that cloak available, but there's also an observer that has in the meantime sieged up on the other side of the map. MaxPax just destroyed Clem. If it wasn't for that Banshee, this game would have been a clean sweep. Like, it would have not been even remotely close. MaxPax, 2 points ahead in the series. This is usually where he seems to enjoy a little bit of cheese. Yeah. He's not a dedicated cheeser, but everybody likes a bit of cheese from time to time. What are we gonna do? I mean, it doesn't have to be. It could just, you know, be a jerk on the other side of the map. Nope, it's not. Is this the MaxPax opener? Pylon Gateway. That is the original MaxPax build. Yep. So once upon a time, when MaxPax, well, he probably was like 15 or something, maybe younger than that. When he first came up, he invented, quote unquote, invented this new build. The MaxPax build. This is very good specifically against Terran players that go barracks into command center on the low ground. It was quite revolutionary at the time because it's pylon gateway. That's weird. That is not something that theoretically makes a lot of sense. You do kind of rely though on your opponent doing something that you want him to do. If this is a double gas opener from Clem and he decides to go factory before command center, this can fall flat on its face, or at the very least it can change everything. This is where MaxPax gets confirmation that Clem is indeed intending on going for a CC on the low ground soon. And that's exactly what he wants. So this is one of those weird things where you have to pretend, oh no, I'm being zoned into the corner. Oh no, you're gonna start up a command... Oh man, you're gonna go command center on the low ground? Oh man, oh dude, that's exact... Oh, that's what I... Oh, actually stop acting. Make a mistake. Fake the mistake. Perfect. In the meantime, Zealot being chronoed out. Cybercore on the other side of the map. So this is the real strength. You can get the kill on the CC, or at the very least delay it for a long time. This is, by the way, how MaxPax first came up. Like, this is how his name got recognized. It's... Like, he used to be a cheeser. That's a funny thing. Like, he rarely cheeses these days, but he used to be quite a cheesy man. And this is where Clem realizes that, oh, crap. I did not quite prepare for this. And this CC can be delayed for a really long time. Because after the second Zealot, we're going to go into Stalkers. And MaxPax can just continuously keep this Terran player occupied. If the CC never finishes, it's a massive investment. I think you cancel. Yeah, you cancel and restart in the main. It's really the only play. Because if you wait there, it's probably gonna get killed. Or you're gonna have to wait until like your extra marines are out and you're gonna get picked apart by a stalker. Yeah. Now the only downside of this build is that you have to be in your opponent's face the whole time. Because if you are not, obviously that gateway is gonna get sniped together with the pylon. Unless you get so far ahead that you can give up on those 250 minerals. Yeah. It's effectively a one-base contain. This is cool. I haven't seen him do this in a long time. The MaxPax signature move that a lot of people don't remember as the signature move. So Terran started countering this by, for example, just defaulting their command center in the main base. Now there's the Cyclone. Yep. This might actually get a tiny little buff in the upcoming patch because of the Cyclone change. Oh, mistake right there from Clem. Loses the Cyclone. I don't think he wanted to be that far forward. Probably just didn't expect the double Stalker there. And this is so annoying for Terran to play against, because you just have those Marines, and Marines are really good, but they're mostly really good when you get Stimpack. And without Stimpack, without combat shields, without any of the NG Ray upgrades, these Marines can get picked off pretty easily. It's not a major advantage, by the way, for MaxPax. It's nothing like, you know... It's nothing like it's immediately gonna win the game for you, but it's super annoying, because this throws all of the Terran strategies out of the window. MaxPax gets to do whatever he pleases, and he's really good in these sort of situations, so let's see. Good pickup control so far here by Clem, trying to keep these weakened units alive, but the damage output here of these Stalkers is significant. Damage is not hit skin, by the way, so if you do pick up, yep, there you go. As the shot of the Stalker is flying across, the medevac can technically negate all damage. But at this point, the Stalker count is just so high. 7 Stalkers already available. The medevac itself gets sniped with the Cyclone inside of it. G is called. A single G. And just like that, MaxPax obtains the victory 3-0 over Clem. And honestly, in dominating fashion. Incredibly well done. GG.